Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In this week's video we are so excited to be exploring one of Cornwall and one of the UK's most remarkable castles in Britain. This castle itself commands fantastic views across the valley and overlooks the surrounding beautiful Cornish countryside. The circular shell keep is one of the most complete remaining examples in the West Country. The remnants of the site and the castle rooms reveal clues to its past grandeur and give a real sense of how the other half lived. So why not join us as we explore another one of Pin's must-visit places here at Restormel Castle. Sometime around the year of the 1100s, the Norman Sheriff of Cornwall at the time, Baldwin FitzTurstin, established a fortification on a spur of land right above the River Fowey. The castle is described as a motte-and-bailey castle, but there is in fact no motte or mound, just simply raised earthwork banks, which when the curtain wall was later built with stone, the inner earthwork bank was removed. There is little known about the earliest castle of the site, which would have been built of timber, and the first time that Restormel is ever mentioned is in the historical records in 1264, when the leader of the Barons' War, Simon de Montfort, briefly seized the castle. Although those initial fortifications were built from wood, the square stone gatehouse tower that is largely destroyed was soon added. The circular stone curtain, which is Restormel's most unique feature, was probably built by Robert de Cardenham, who was the lord of the manor here from 1192 to 1225. Most believe that the castle was created to defend the estuary, to defend the traffic going up and down the river, but it wasn't. It was created as a pure luxury and comfort. It was a hunting lodge and a countryside seat. The castle was strengthened and built by Edmund, the second Earl of Cornwall. His father, Richard I, Earl of Cornwall, acquired the site by degenerate means. We do know that Richard was quite an aggressive man in his manners, and was always very keen to expand on his wealth and his holdings, so he persuaded the widow of a man that tried to keep the castle out of the crown's clutches to give it to him. And it wasn't as if the widow could refuse, and so Richard had taken ownership. Earl Richard died in 1272, only 4 years after acquiring Restormel, so it seems more probable that it was his son Edmund who built the present castle. Edmund took over, and being his father's son, he was also quite aggressive, and always forward-thinking on his legacy. Edmund was already very well off, but he was just about to become a whole lot richer. He quickly realised that the tin industry, which is already thriving in Lostwithiel, which was a small town just down from the castle. Edmund grasped at the opportunity to seize control of this entire industry, so he would become even more powerful. So he placed a huge stone bridge across the river, which would control all of the traffic going up and down. The river at the time was much deeper and wider, and allowed sea-going ships to go up and down. He then built a huge complex in the town, covering over 2.5 acres, which he centralises full control of the tin industry. Then, to top it all off, he wanted a grand and impressive building to be able to show off to his friends and entertain, so he created and adapted the round castle of Restormel. When Earl Edmund died in 1299, the earldom of Cornwall reverted to the crown, and Restormel lost its importance. After the Duchy of Cornwall was formed, the castle was essentially ignored and left to decay. It was safe for a short period in 1354, when Edward, the Black Prince, son of Edward III, held court here as the first Duke of Cornwall. But when Edward died in 1376, the castle was left unused again. There was a brief moment on the historical stage for Restormel in 1644, when Royalist forces under Sir Richard Grenville briefly occupied it. ousting a parliamentarian garrison, but after this brief interlude it was left to slumber once more, falling into complete disrepair until taken into state care in 1925. It is now officially owned by the Duchy of Cornwall, but cared for by the English Heritage. Whilst we're walking around, we get to visit a number of rooms that would make for a grand castle. It was Earl Edmund who added the curious set of curving chambers that would back onto the curtain wall. This effectively created a concentric castle fitted with kitchens, a great grand hall, guest accommodation and a private solar, all inside the castle walls. When walking the ruins, something that really does make the castle seem quite rare are the holes in the walls. As you can see, they are large openings, but they were more known as huge picture windows that were built in when the castle was created. What's unique too is that they were glazed. At that point in time, it was very unusual to have large glazed picture windows, as opposed to, say, smaller window openings like arrow slits that were used for battle. And not to mention, it was extremely expensive to have them fitted. But this was the man that Edmund was. He wasn't worried to spend money or be frivolous, because it was all about his status. The rooms that we visit are the Great Hall, which then leads on to the servary and then into the kitchen for the castle. Most people would enter the hall by a now disappeared wooden stair that would have led up to the courtyard. This kitchen was a huge room, as you can see. The staff of cooks would sweat away underneath the many ovens and spits, roasting away. Their sole task was to prepare the food for the castle's lord and his inner household. The high narrow windows above would allow for smoke and steam to escape. The cooks would work at wooden tables or dressing boards, and food would be carefully checked in the small hatchway beside the door before being carried up to the hall beyond. Yet possibly the best experience to have here is having the site to explore from the aerial perspective. You can walk up the stairs to the battlements or wall walk of the castle, where you can be sure to take in all of its history and get a sense of how busy life would have once been. On the wall walk, it gives a great opportunity to see the superb rural views. On the wall walk, it gives a great opportunity to be able to see the superb rural views from a higher vantage point. You really do get the best views around, and of course you can delve into more detail over the castle itself, visually exploring and imagining each of these rooms in their heyday, and think about the people that would be living, working, or enjoying the building. As we make our way around, we get the chance to overlook the Great Hall. You can just see how impressive and long it was. It was the heart of Restormel Castle. It would be in this room that the Earl and the later Dukes of Cornwall feasted with their household and their guests. Like all of the other principal rooms in the inner ward, the hall sits above dark, unheated cellars. By contrast, the hall contained a huge, impressive fireplace underneath a stone hood and large windows that would let out light from the courtyard. It's not really hard to understand why Restormel is based here, aside from the tin industry and the river, which would be open to more business opportunities. The castle's landscape and setting is one of a kind. It's true beautiful Cornish countryside that offers views and memories for miles. Not only is the surrounding awe-inspiring, the sight of the castle itself above oozes excitement and grandeur that really does make this castle stand out amongst the others. When we visited, it truly exceeded our expectations. It's interestingly designed, it has an atmospheric feel when you're walking there, and especially on top of the wall walk. It just is such an impressive building, with most of the rooms still very much intact. What I also like is how picturesque the place is, with its true origins still wrapped in some mystery. I think Restormel Castle is worthy of being on anybody's list, especially if you are visiting southwest UK. There are a number of other castles in the area, abbeys, churches, beaches and seaside towns that are worthy to take a few days to really explore and discover Cornwall's rich heritage. We had a great visit here at Restormel Castle and hope that you all enjoyed it too. If you did like it, please show us by hitting that subscribe button, clicking the thumbs up and even clicking on the notification bell so that you'll never miss another video. We want to give a big thank you to our PIN channel members and to our Patreons. If anyone is interested, why not consider supporting our journeys and explores by hitting the join button down below, or check out other ways to support us in our description box. So we'll see you on the next one. Till next time.